They say, really, ain't no party like a cowboy party. What about a Law Nation groove? I really appreciate you guys so much. The bye week is the bye week, but there's still Cowboys' biggest surprise. Of course, we're going to talk about that. List me your player. What to do with Tony Pollard plus more. Of course, we got to talk about Dak Prescott. That's a given right there. You got to talk about Rain Dakota. Come on. Really appreciate you. Asmodeus Stephen White. Shout out to the Facebook gang. SWAT up. HBOs and the SGs. Let's get it. Cowboy Nation one way or another.
You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it.
No doubt, baby.
I've got balls of steel.
Let's get it. Huh. Come on. No long intros. Knit it. Let's get it. Y'all already know the name is Law Nation. Without hesitations nor deviations. Thank you guys so much for watching the Tony Pollard film analysis. It was just pretty much me just talking about the things that Tony Pollard brings to the table and the way I want Tony Pollard to really be utilized is anywhere between 10 to 15 touches. And if you want to add in some catches or what have you in the backfield, then that will work too, especially when teams are playing that umbrella look. I think that if you utilize Tony, you can wiggle and get upfield, right? And you know how it goes.
Simply because you don't have evidence that something does exist does not mean that you have evidence that something doesn't exist.
Yes, indeed, right? So with that being said, let me know if the audio is straight, Cowboy Nation. Let's talk about this, what's on my mind with this. It's amazing how when you have a player, nobody, mama, uncle, cousin is talking about, hey, man, this dude, he need more money, man. Hey, man, why he's underpaid, man? Why he's underpaid, you know? But we do hear storylines and news and information when a player, hey, man, y'all paid him too much. He's not worth this. You know, I have to call people out. Right now, Tony Pollard, since 2019, he's making $1.1 million. There's not a soul that's banging on the table saying, hey, man, he's underpaid, man. He's underpaid. Man, come on, Jones family. Pay the man. You know, no one is begging for the man to get paid, but it's soon. As the man get paid his coins, his dollars, his money, his bag, you know, then they would say, hey, man, he ain't worth. Y'all see how y'all do? Y'all count the man money when they get paid, but nobody count the man money before they get paid. You know what I'm saying? That's just crazy. So this is just a learning lesson for those who out there who like to yell to the high heavens, hey, man, what you doing paying that dude, man, you know? I'm just messing with y'all. I know you guys that's here, not y'all, you know, but some people, that's just how it is, man. Nobody's begging for this man to get paid now. Nobody's talking about his resources, his money, but y'all for dog sure talking about give the man more snaps, right? Give the man more touches, right? Everybody's talking about give that man 20 touches, give him 30 touches, let him be the bell cow. And this fan base will turn on you just like that. I was here when they turned on Jalen Smith. I was here when they turned on LVE. I know y'all turned on LVE. I was here when they turned on Rain Dakota Prescott. I was here when they turned on Ezekiel Elliott. I was here when they turned on Desmond Bryant. I was here when they turned on Tony Romo. I was here. Y'all love to turn on players, man. As soon as they get that bag, that coin. Yeah, man. Y'all will hate the player. Y'all will hate the day DeMarcus Lawrence got his bag, right? He ain't such and such. Yeah, so it is what it is. That's why I say the owners did a unique job with the salary cap because they figured out a way where they can create billions of dollars, right, and pocket that and have you guys to believe that they can't afford to pay money to said player. And you, who now don't even have a chance, a third of you guys don't even have a chance to make $1 billion. One can argue a third don't even have a chance to make $1 million. But you will argue that that player is selfish for not taking the play cut. That player is selfish because he don't want to play for that amount of money, right? And the owners get to sit back and grow the pot every year. And then the craziest thing of it all, Cowboy Nation, as I drink out of my relic over here, you know. The craziest thing about it is that they do revenue sharing. So regardless of whether or not they win or lose or not even make it to the playoffs, they still get their split of the pie. That is the best business to ever be in. The NFL, if I had $1 billion, it probably still won't be enough because I got to get voted in, and it got to be somebody. I heard the Washington team, they might go for sale, but even if I had $1 billion, I would not be able to afford to buy the doggone Washington team. And then I had to get voted in. How about that? Aaron, shout out to you for the first super chat, man. Thank you so much for jumping in. Aaron says, could Brandon Cook be cut and make it through waivers to the Cowboys? Love the content, Law Nation. Thank you.
Are you embarrassed?
Oh, no, wrong button. But you're right. You're right. That's what they should have asked Jerry. Are you embarrassed? But here's the thing. By the trade deadline being over and hearing news that he's upset and he's in his feelings, that Brandon Cooks, he thought for sure that he liked one post, and I heard from some sources that he would have loved to play for the Dallas Cowboys, right, and play with Dak Prescott. But the money got in the way. $18 million got in the way, and we know that the Jones family, they don't want to spend $18 million on nothing, right? And especially the taking on the contract plus, you know, giving up assets and resources for Brandon Cooks. So they stepped back and said, you know what, it's not enough, right? It's too much for us, basically. In theory, Aaron, that could happen. He could get cut or what have you, or request to say, hey, I no longer want to play in the National Football League and get released from the Texans. But then in return, they will have to eat the guaranteed portions of the money unless there's somewhere in his contract whereas he can remove the guaranteed money and give it back. But nobody's giving money back, though. I don't think people will give money back. They're going to say, nah, that's the money that's guaranteed. I want that. Plus, I want to go play over there. And there's this other thing called tampering, right? So if there could be some ambiguity there, if Cooks somehow get cut and then all of a sudden he clear waivers and then he goes to the Cowboys, then they can open up and is this tampering? Is this Jerry Jones letting the NFL know that he's trying to circumvent the trade rules or what have you? So many red tape with that. Fan base, so night and day. This is from my guy, Mr. Wright. Antoine says, so night and day. When it comes to players' money, they think that they know it all. Wait until TP get paid. Oh, my goodness. You know, wait till he get paid. Then everything. They be like, hey, for $7 million, he need to get 30 touches, you know, or for whatever he's asking for. And that is the line that will be on the mind in the sand of time, like the money. And I hate it that fan bases are so fixated on the money. And they tend to agree. 30, yeah. Dan says 31 teams to clear. Is that right for clear waivers? Nah, since he's a veteran, I think that he have a right to refusal for Brandon Cooks. He don't falls under that. He'll be cut and waived as a veteran, and he have a right to go to wherever he want to go to because he's a veteran. He's been in the league for over 3 to 4 years, I believe. Yeah. So he's been in the league for a long time, basically. But here's the thing. What I was going to say is that it's a clever idea because no one, like majority of the people, normally don't agree with the player. They lean on the ownership, right? You know, they would lean on the ownership and say, hey, you know, if they really want to win a Super Bowl, then they'll take a pay cut. You know, or if they really want to play for said team, they would take less, right? But there's so many rules and regulations within that, right? The agent can't just do that. And then on top of that, there's only like 1 or 2 players in the history of the NFL that continuously took a pay cut, you know, to be on a certain team. And I think his name is Tom Brady, right? And you see how that going, right? And I'm not finna talk about the man's love life, but, you know, you see how that going. You see how that going on right now. That, you know, he was able to all of those years circumvent his salary and say, I'm going to lean on my lady. But now when the lady said, hey, you know what? I circumvented you long enough. Now I want you at home watching these kids. And he's like, nah, I'd rather help them kids. I'd rather go play some football. Okay, all right. Well, I tell you what, divorce, you know. So that's me speaking from the outside in. It could be other things, right? But not many people have that longitude and latitude to take less money, right? And to have an agent to say, hey, man, my client got 7 rings, man, you know, and circumvent it this way. So it's a lot of gray area or red area in that, you know. But it is what it is. Mark says we signed a defensive tackle and got Anthony Barr, and we could use a wide receiver, but the Joneses are trying to make CD a number 1. Can we go through the growing pains with that? But we will see how it will end. You know, one thing I can tell you for sure, Kellen Moore, you see him on my thumbnail, right? I got him on the thumbnail for a reason. We going through growing pains with him, right? I got Tony Pollard on the thumbnail for a reason, right? Because we know when I posted the video, he said, no, Law, he ain't the most explosive player on the team. But from an explosions aspect of it, you win games, man. You give this guy 10 to 15 touches, right? Dak can look really good on certain coverages when you have overs and you just need to have a dump-off pass to kill it underneath. And I believe my guy, Boss Cowboy, and the OC, they did the leak tape where, you know, you want your running back to leak on the side and get upfield and things like that. And we don't do that on a lot of occasions, right? So what I'm trying to say is yes, we know he's explosive, right? And we know that he's a liability in past situations. You know, he's not the best blocker in life. Nevertheless, the trade-off, you ain't going to be good at everything, right? So you got to figure out the perfect recipe with Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. And from my thoughts of it, use the man, right? Not in a bad way, but utilize him in a way where he can get those 10 to 15 touches. The Cowboys, when Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard get 10 or more touches, they undefeated. It's not a hard task to do. So you have to figure that out. And then he's not just explosive. On the offense, remember, he was explosive on special teams. There's games that you can look back last year and say, hey, without Tony, we don't flip the field. We don't get usable space to score. So I look at it like that. And I look at the offseason move. One of my calculations of it was I was telling everybody that Kevontae Turpin, he's a valuable piece to this team because now you can get more and more reps for Tony Pollard. Who remember that video, right? I said, man, Kevontae Turpin not just brings the element of special team play, but he brings the element whereas now you can get more utilizations of Tony Pollard as well as CeeDee Lamb. Because remember last year, we were using CeeDee Lamb as the punt return guy, right? They even at one point put Trayvon Diggs out there, right? And they also, at kickoff return, they use Rico as well as Tony Pollard. And I said this would be a great pickup for the Cowboys so that now these guys can get more value touches when we have the ball, right? So there won't be excuses of, hey, man, the reason why Tony Pollard is getting only 4 touches in a game is because he was tired off of kickoff. Or the reason why CeeDee Lamb can't get this and can't get that because he was on punt return. They remove all of that. Aaron says, how far would this lineup will be, Law? Cooks, CD, TD, Odell Beckham Jr., break the bank, Jerry. Give the people what they want, you know? But, you know, the Texans got to release Cooks first, and they got to release them with expectations, right? You just can't cut. You know, of course, we go to at will states or what have you, jobs and things like that. But there's CBA agreements and languages and contracts where you just can't release a player just because you want to release a player. You can't do that. A contract is a binding agreement between how many parties? 2 or more, right? It would be a breach of contract if they say, hey, man, we're just going to release him because he wanted to be released. No, there got to be guidelines and rules and things like that to release said player, right? Money got to be properly assisted, right? You got to have 2 people saying, hey, I agree that his conduct is unbecoming, right? He violated said rule. And according to article blah, 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 we can now release him. But you just can't release a player off of whim because then there will be people saying, hey, why you release him? Then you got to detail and you got to document it, right? So that's why it's difficult more so than anything. Now, maybe he can start crying and pitch a tent about it, and that's why he's probably not showing up to this game. Cook got 2 years on his contract for $18 million. Yep, JD, appreciate you. Contract, come on, NFL contracts are not binding. Well, his guaranteed portions is, as Motors, you know how it goes? They probably be like, we will release him, but somebody got to pick up this tab. So we're not going to eat that money. We will rather have you. You know how these owners get, Asmodeus. These owners will look at here and say, hey, man, unless it's my ideal, I'm not finna do it. He signed it last year, right? So if he didn't sign that contract last season, then maybe, just maybe, he's disgruntled. But if they cut him, it will have to be something he did, not something that they thought of. That's what I'm trying to say, Asmodeus. It have to be a direct line that he crossed, not the organization, because they going to want that money. They greedy. They don't want to lose. They going to want that money. That's how I look at it. Cook's playing tonight, JD? No, he announced that he's not playing tonight due to personal reasonings and things like that. So that could be the first lie, right? And then they can probably document some things, conduct unbecoming, and then they can tear up that contract and say, okay, we still can recoup the guaranteed money, right? It's a clever game, man, certain states, you try to get that. What were people getting hit up with? Unemployment money, right? Right? But if you quit the job, you can't just fool around and get unemployment. How that work? I forgot how that work, right? If you get fired, you can get unemployment. But if you quit, you ain't going to get that money, right? And a lot of people was trying to put in their unemployment extensions, right? And I know that that's more on a lower level versus these multi-million-dollar contracts that we talking about from the NFL. But if you quit your job, they be like, man, nah, dog. I believe that's how it is. If you quit your job, you walk out of there, then the state is not liable to give you unemployment. But if you get fired, then, hey, hey, man, y'all going to have to help me out until I get right. I need some unemployment money. Law, I pray you and your family are doing well. Whisperings in Law ear. There are over 270 folks in here and only 85 likes. Tell them all to be ashamed of themselves. Yes, I'm snitching on the chat room.
Shame. Shame.
Y'all do right, man. Hit that like button. All right, man. All right, so what we're going to do now is just play some of this audio for 105. Appreciate y'all, man, so much for jumping in. Y'all know how this thing goes. And then they going over the surprise players and things like that, and maybe midterm awards and stuff like that halfway through the year for the 2022 season. Give me some of your all-stars and stuff like that, or who your most surprised player. But let's listen to this right here.
Bullchuck.
Yeah.
Player that has been the biggest surprise to you through the halfway point.
Doris Armstrong, baby. Who y'all biggest surprise, baby? Who y'all biggest surprise, man? I'm surprised that my guy Kevontae Turpin hasn't took one to the house yet. Oh, my gosh, man. Thanks for the call, and appreciate you, Steven. Appreciate you.
Cowboy player, that is.
Biggest surprise, the halfway point.
Surprise.
Surprise,
mother.
Some fries.
Surprise.
Some pies.
Probably Cooper Rush. I was very surprised. Look, I know Cooper Rush won a game last year, but when Dak went down, if you were to say, hey, he's going to miss 5 games and this team will be 6-2, I would not have believed it. It was shocking to me that Cooper Rush was able to go 4-1 as a starter.
No doubt, man. We talked about this, and I said this before, even with Cooper Rush, man. Hey, I ate some crow on that. Out of 5 games this year, he won us 4 out of 5. Hey, I don't think no one alive thought that he was going to do that. Outside of Pastor Simmons, or Minister Simmons, that's a better way to say it. That's how you announce yourself. Is on his way. According to the tracker. It will be there sometime before Sunday. So I appreciate you. My guy Wendell says, stop this Pollard, get better at pass blocking, catching awareness, and then maybe till then stop with this Zeke pounding them down and let my boy Tony is making something out of his chances. Yes, he need more touches, but not until Zeke is back yet. I'm just saying. Appreciate you, man, Wendell. My thing is with that, just let it ride, man. Just let it ride. Both of those boys, man. Less is more, believe it or not. If you add both together, less is more. It's crazy, right? Zeke, you're not getting 25 touches. Pollard, you're getting 10 to 15, right? Just figured it out, man. Less is more.
I did not think he would be able to play that well, and I didn't think the team was going to be able to rally around him in that manner, especially after what we witnessed game 1. So I would say Cooper Rush was my biggest surprise from the first half of the season.
Chief?
I'm going to combo platter mine because I'm going to go with these rookies. The tight ends, Tyler Smith and Deron Bland, all being able to step in precarious situations. Hey, right before the game, Jordan Lewis goes down. You need to go play nickel corner, one of the toughest positions in the sport to play. Your name's Deron Bland, and no one's really ever heard of you, and no one in the draft really wanted you. And you go out there and you don't miss a beat. That's a huge surprise. The Fergus shot situation, I didn't see it.
Yeah. We'll go over that in a few seconds. My girl says, Marilyn says, stop bringing up Dak contract. Let's focus on Dallas winning. We need the 2-headed monster Zeke and Pollard. Great job, Law. DC for life. With the blue hearts, 3 of them. 3 hearts. Marilyn, let me get 5 blue hearts in there to represent how many Super Bowls we got. The 3, I love them. Let me get 5 of them. Just give me 5 blue hearts. I appreciate you so much, Marylon. The contract will always be the question, always be the conversation. The contracts, the money. It done created a whole avenue of ways of creating content, and the 4-ladder, the 3-ladder network always bring up the money, right? But it would be nice for the players in the off season to bring up their contracts, right? The media personnel, and say, hey, I don't think that Skip Bayless should be getting $40 million, or Shay Sharp should be getting $6 or $7 million. He's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Because he's messed up over this word. That would be a great show during the off season, right? Stephen A. Smith, he's not worth this and that. That would be a good show if these players can have a comeback. That would be nice, but it is what it is. Let's go.
No OTAs, even at training camp. We're asking the question, should they have drafted Ferguson or the kicker out of your school, LSU? Yeah. And I'm like, well, gosh dang it, maybe we should have just drafted that kicker. Take that back, because Ferguson's been great, and him and Hendershot together have been really good. And then Tyler Smith being able to, right before the season, you're going from guard to tackle. All that, to me, the youngsters have been a big-time surprise.
Love Deron Bland. Watching last night, going back and watching the All-22 Tuesdays, the Cowboys got something with Deron Bland, man.
Yeah,
this kid's just going to keep getting better and better.
General?
Man, there's a lot of good picks. I like what the guys are saying. I'm down to 2. It's either Tony Pollard. I didn't think he was this awesome, but he is. And then the other boy, Brett Maher, he's been automatic.
Yeah.
Brett kicker.
Maher's a good one.
That's a good one. And I would like to throw in with the rookies. I don't want to disrespect Sam Williams.
Well, I'm coming to you on this next question.
Oh, okay.
We're going to name the whole roster before he gets questioned.
Yeah.
Really? Sam Williams, man, is phenomenal, man. He played well enough to be he wasn't a healthy scratch, but he had a knee bang. They said, "Oh man, hey man, your knee having the problems, man. We don't need you this Chicago game. We need to see more tape on this guy anyway, right?" And that's a good luxury to have. I heard that Malik Hooker, he could have played, but they're like, "Hey man, you got problems still with that hammy? We don't need for you to play this weekend. We got you. We need to see more from the younger guy." That's good stuff, Cowboy Nation. Flat out good stuff. Shout out to you, Marcus Hardison. Appreciate you. Yep. So let's go.
The entire team is a surprise.
These rookies been good.
I do. I didn't get. By the way, the biggest surprise was the whole thing with Cooper Rush. Will Greer. Come on. I mean, those are the guys that.
Hey guys, read a book for once. Come on.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. I mean, this is. There's no way in hell I thought they were going to win 4 games with Cooper Rush.
I'm good at these games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would all took us by surprise.
All right, Chief. Best rookie. That's my question.
Yeah,
best rookie.
I like that.
All right. I'm going to tell y'all who's my best rookie. What was the main issue that we had during the offseason? What was the main issue? The main issues that we had was a lot of people had reservations on linebacker, wide receiver, in no particular order, by the way, and offensive line. Penalties, Brandon Moore. I would have to say the best rookie, hands down, is Tyler Smith. Right now, there's no position in the National Football League that is more sought out there, like needing to have that person to secure you, than left tackle. And we go through weeks of not even mention Tyler Smith, right? And we seen the whole aspect that the offensive line, the offensive line, we need to better our offensive line. And Tyler Smith, as a rookie, just been so impactful, right? And been so secure. Look at his stats. Look at what he's able to do. I think he only allowed 3 sacks so far this season. Yes, he's been flagged a few times here and there. Let me pull up the accurate stat for everyone so that we can make sure we're on the same page with Tyler Smith. Because I think that he's been a gem for us. And now, this is not to dismiss or discount anyone else. Now, I take that back. He had 4 sacks allowed, right? Total pressure 16. And hits allowed is 3. So I'm not finna sneeze at that, because if we look at anybody that was thrown into the fire, right, Normally it's double-digit sacks. We done had Chaz Green. Remember him at left tackle, give up 5 or 6 sacks in one game. So I got to give it up to the offensive line, Tyler Smith, and then we can fight amongst the other guys like Jake Ferguson, who stood tall in games, as well as Sam Williams, who he only have like 80-something snaps. So far this team, the youth, they've been doing a good job. Excuse me, a great job.
Very good.
That was number 2 on my list until you named half the rookie class.
I'm sorry.
But I'm going to make you name one.
Yeah. I know it's been a small sample size, but I'm going to go with DeRon Bland. It's been 2 games basically that he's really had to step in and start and play. Yep. And I think at worst case, it's even with Jordan Lewis, and it might even be better. And so salute to you, DeRon Bland.
DeRon Bland.
How about you there, Zach?
I forgot my name.
No, I was thinking if I was going to go back to Gavin.
Yeah,
he looked like he was doing a little work there, so I just didn't want to catch him.
I thought you were going to go back to Gavin for a second.
No, he was Josh Green jumping in the air, holding the ball, not knowing where to go with it.
Choctaw said, how can you vote for a guy who played one game? Now, DaRon, I think he played, 2 games, right? Washington and Chicago Bears. But DaRon, for what we were able to see, and maybe they are adding in the preseason tape, and, you looking pretty good there. I like the upside of DaRon. I think that, when you look back at his tape, that 4.3, 4.4 speed is visible, right? You can see that the guy got those traits that you want, and then he's bigger. He's faster than what we had in that spot, right? My thing is next year will be year 3 for Kelvin Joseph, and we haven't seen enough of him. And this is his 2nd year. I want some of our sophomore players to get more tick. And come on, Cowboys. I'm greedy, so I need to. Oh, you're talking about Damone Clark. My bad. You can't. Yeah, Choctaw. Yeah, you can't really put Damone Clark in there. But for what we can see, 7 total tackles, 2 solos, and near sack. Shoot, if he'd have got that sack, man, I still need to do a film analysis on him. Maybe I'll do it tonight or sometime. But that Damone Clark, man, come on, man, that dude showing us some little promise there, But like Choctaw was saying, remember, Anthony Barr had that one good game against Cincinnati, and then he disappeared. I'm not putting that on Damone Clark. But, we want to see some consistencies with this linebacker core, because right now I can only put my hand down on one linebacker that I really trust, and that's Michael Parsons, right? And he's a hybrid. I really don't trust those other linebackers. I'm just being 1,000 with y'all. I can't trust Cox right now. He can't get out there on the field. And I can't trust LVE because his hesitation for the nation is semi. He kind of like in that shadowy place. Although he's playing better than what we previously seen, I'm still like, hey, it is what it is. And then, of course, Anthony Barr. I may be doing like this again, man, because if it comes around now, if anybody knows the Green Bay, it will be Anthony Barr. But I'm looking at it like if he's not 100% ready, I don't want them to continue to put him out there and he looking like a player running in mud, So we'll find out, man.
For me, it's Hoochie Daddy Shorts.
Yeah,
because we were kind of making fun of him a little bit. We were like, oh, Hoochie Daddy Shorts. Like, Dante Fowler didn't know who the hell he was preseason. Like, I liked the Jake Ferguson pick. We were doing Trust the Tape. You knew that, Broadus.
Right.
Like, he was one of my more favorite tight ends, so I thought the Cowboys had a shot to get in the mid-rounds. DeRon Bland, they seemed to like a lot. In training camp, we were talking him up quite a bit. Might be the number 3 corner if Lewis couldn't play. So we had somewhat expectations. Hendershot's come in. Heck, down the road, he might end up being the best of the bunch if you give this guy some time. He's got a lot of versatility to his game. So for me, it's probably Peyton Hendershot.
I'm going to go with Tyler Smith.
Yeah.
Left tackle's damn near impossible at this age for a player in the NFL, but he's pulling it off. I think he's a bonus in the run game, and he's holding his own enough in the passing game.
Yeah, I think, to me, I knew the kid could play, but the fact he got no reps in training camp and then they throw him in there week 1.
Right.
You know, I think you have to. I think he's been the best.
But Bland's been more solid overall, like less mistakes.
Yeah, Bland is one of those guys that you're kind of like, I wish he would have played more.
Yeah.
You know,
Right,
but Jordan Lewis, I think the thing with Bland is you could play him inside or outside. I don't know if you could play Lewis outside.
Okay.
You know, so I Tyler Smith. All right, Gavin, to you on this one. Should Mike McCarthy be considered for Coach of the Year?
Ooh, baby. Thank you. All right, so let me know in the chat if you team Mike McCarthy. Let me see if you sold on Mike McCarthy. And if you're not, just say no. Not sold on Mike McCarthy. Now, I know we're heading into our bye week, so this is a good time to look at everything. 6-2. Are you team Mike McCarthy? I see James, Jessica, yeah, Paul, Tony, Anthony, yeah, Sam, Big Mike, you know. All right, come on. Small says, nah, not right now, man. Jay Dizzy, like, no. Asmodeus, team Mike. What are we doing today? He says no. Bearded Mike, yeah. Bearded Mike, I told y'all. He would not fall under 500 if he grew his beard out, and he did it. And ever since then, he have not been under 500. So shout out to the bearded Mike. You right. You know, 2020, I don't know who that clean-faced Mike was, you know. But, yeah. Drop your Mike. The real MVP says, give me Dan Quinn still. Trust me, and I'm telling you straight from the heart, man. You do not want Dan Quinn as the head coach because it's going to take away from what he do with the defensive players. He's going to have to stretch himself out and be with the offensive guys, be with the special teams guy. I like Dan Quinn laser focus in. Only on defense. But you give the man too much, man, he's going to look like the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to try to fire him and get him up out of here. So delegation is a real, true, underrated ability. Management, getting work done through others. That way, if you delegating stuff, is low-key a real underrated power. And I don't think that Dan Quinn possessed that. One thing I can tell you, Cowboy Nation, when I was out there seeing Dan Quinn work with his people, he's a hands-on coach, man. And he likes to put his hands on players, make sure that they are doing the right things, make sure that they're in the right spots. And on that defense, we can see that. DQ equals DC, yeah. Murphy Brown, you know, with his perfect attendance, man. He says the Eagles 7-0. Okay. Shout out to him. Let's go.
He absolutely should. You know, I don't know if he'd win it at the halfway point. There's probably better options out there. But yeah, and you know, I got to give him his props. You've transitioned this team from being offense dominant to defense dominant. You're about to put the Cowboys in the playoffs for back-to-back years for the first time since 2007. They become a takeaway team. You've made them tougher, you know. So I think it's roster construction, but it's also how they evolved the offense or devolved the offense, depending on how you look at it, to optimize their chances to win. I think he's doing a hell of a job.
How about you, Chief?
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made for sure. There's no question he deserves a ton of credit. Winning football games with your backup quarterback, that in itself is very, very impressive. And then when you get into the nitty-gritty, as Dawson was, of the things that you could tangibly see that changed, and you feel like McCarthy had a lot to do with that, there's a case to be made. Unfortunately, it's just a great year in terms of candidates for this because you have these young coaches that have stepped up. Right. Brian Dable, rookie head coach, team playing well. Mike McDaniel, Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings. And then there's Pete Carroll with the Seahawks right now. Holy smokes! No,
that's a good argument by my guy down there on G-Bag Nation. I can argue that Mike McCarthy at this point, and then you can probably lean on the fact that you got Dan Quinn that's helping out on the defense. But if you were to hold out the cards, you know, and said all of those teams that he just mentioned, I don't think any of those guys are playing like what we did with our backup quarterback. I just don't see what they did with their backup quarterback because they had their starting quarterback. And if the same set of circumstances, they would have won those games. You got to add in the fact that Cooper Rush, 4 out of 5 games, man. And then he won some of those games on the road, right? On the road with the Rams, right? Beat them. On the road, Cincinnati was at home. Managed to beat them, right? If it was anybody else outside of the Cowboys, they would be banging on the table saying that's coach of the year because he took his backup quarterback and everything stayed afloat. Come on, man. Come on. But he do have a strong point that those other coaches, Pete Carroll doing it with Geno Smith, and then you got to understand that the Eagles, regardless of how much we dislike them, they are 7-0 at this point. And then whatever the Minnesota land is doing, they 6-1 right now with a young coach, and you got a lot of young coaches out there that's doing it. And Brian Daboll, who's 6-2 with his team, it's a lot of okay. Where can you really hit the voters at? So we'll find out down the line. Now, if the Cowboys continue, and I believe they can continue to win, shoot. At this point, shoot. Cowboys finished the season with only 2 losses, man.
No one would have saw that coming, and that doesn't even mention what Sirianni's doing in Philadelphia right now. So there's just a lot of good candidates, but Mike McCarthy deserves to be in the conversation for sure.
Right? Like,
hold on. Let me rewind so I can hear this man full statement because he said Sirianni. So I know some of the Eagle people like, what? He mentioned Sirianni, huh?
With that, there's a case to be made. Unfortunately, it's just a great year in terms of candidates for this because you have these young coaches that have stepped up. Brian Daboll, rookie head coach, team playing well. Mike McDaniel, Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings. And then there's Pete Carroll with the Seahawks right now. Holy smokes. No one would have saw that coming. And that doesn't even mention what Sirianni's doing in Philadelphia right now. So there's just a lot of good candidates, but Mike McCarthy deserves to be in the conversation for sure.
Right. Like, he's not going to win this award, but this is probably the best coach job to this point by any Cowboys coach since fill in the blank, right? Bill Parcells in 06 or 03. His first season.
That was amazing.
When he took
did,
Quincy Carter and the Cowboys 10-6 and they made the playoffs. I mean, this is a fantastic coaching job this year by Mike McCarthy.
I'll tell you what, I think you absolutely do. I don't know you named all these programs, all these teams. Has anybody had to survive it without their starting quarterback? Maybe the guy in Miami has. He's had trouble with his quarterback.
But even they were losing those games. Yeah, like it wasn't like they were winning those games.
I mean, that's amazing that they were able to do this. I think everything that Gavin was talking about, too, I think him going in and telling Kellen Moore, hey, listen, this is what we are as a team. This is what we are. We've got a great defense. We need to kind of cater to that. You don't need to screw things up. Think about running the ball a little bit more here.
Sure.
But, yeah, I have to give them I have to give him complete credit for that.
Look at there, man. That's Brian Broadus, baby. Oh my God, Choctaw, man. Look, that's a good nickname. Oh my gosh, man. Instead of Sirianni, yeah, man, that's funny, man. You wild with it, bro. But how much should we give Mike McCarthy credit for developing Kellen Moore? Because after week 1, and that's why I put him on the screen here, is because when they was talking about this and that, people failed to realize Mike McCarthy, he called out Kellen Moore and said, hey, man, you got to call smarter football plays. You got to call the game better, right? He called him out. And they went on that run. So I would say this right here. I got to give kudos and credence to Mike McCarthy for helping developing Kellen Moore. You got to at this point. And when I look at everything, and I'm going to bring this in, okay, all right, we're going to figure out ways and things to be explosive on offense. We're going to use 13 personnel or double tray personnel. You know what I'm saying? So we got things that we utilize now. Big 12 personnel. Oh, filling in the gaps, making sure everything is comfortable for the quarterback, now. So I got to give credence to Mike McCarthy for what he did with Kellen Moore during this stretch. You call it, I haul it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you, Tony. Appreciate you. Montana. You know what I'm saying? Montana in the house, man. Shout out to you. Tony Montana. Appreciate you, man. That boy is nice.
Okay, how about this one to you, Zach, again? Will the Cowboys go 4-0 against the NFC North? They got Green Bay and Minnesota coming up next.
Oh, man. I do think they beat Minnesota. That's going to be a tough game, but I do think they beat them. That for whatever reason, it seems like outside of that one Sunday night game a couple years ago, they've matched up pretty well recently against the Vikings. There's something scary always about Aaron Rodgers. He seems like he always plays his best against the Cowboys, but I'm going to say yes. I think that's going to be an inspired Cowboys team that plays for Coach McCarthy, and I think Dak puts it together on coming off the bye against the Packers. I think the Cowboys do go 4-0 against the North.
Chief?
Wow.
Yeah, having 2 weeks to prepare for Green Bay going into Lambeau will be big, and I think there will be a team kind of galvanizing around Coach McCarthy. And they all know how much, or we know how much they love them because we've heard J-Ron Curse right here on this station talk about it. And him going back into Lambeau for the first time, I think that's going to be huge. 2 weeks to prepare. And I just think the Cowboys are better than both of these teams. So, I mean,
ooh, don't you know, man, that this Green Bay game will be everything for Mike McCarthy. Oh, my goodness, man. If anybody ever understood, like, revenge, or just letting people know that, man, they were wrong, man. They left you for dead. And that's how you feel? He's probably right now, he's told the players, y'all go ahead. Y'all go ahead and have fun. Be with your wives, be with your ladies, be with your loved ones. Do whatever you need to do. Relax. But I guarantee you, Mike McCarthy's in that film room. He's looking up every tape, every little thing that Matt LaFleur does, right? And he's trying to figure it out. Okay, all right. Oh, that's the one? Okay, that's the one that y'all choose? Okay. I'm going to show y'all. And it's not by surprise, too, that he's not doing that. They should know that Mike McCarthy, he's ready. And if anybody want to beat the Green Bay more than the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, should be Cowboy fans. Right? There's not an opportunity that we as diehard Cowboy fans will ever sit back and say, you know what? We like Green Bay. That can't even get out of our mouth. You know what I'm saying? We can't stand the Green Bay Packers. Even from the beginning of time. From the beginning of time. Like, what was that a lot of people said, that even the Super Bowl wouldn't even be called the Lombardi if we would have beat the Green Bay. That's how deep this rivalry goes, baby. Dez caught it. Right now we won't be playing for the Lombardi. It wouldn't be called the Lombardi. Let me know if I'm wrong. What would the Super Bowl be called? Y'all help me out. What would the Super Bowl be called? Come on now. They robbed us, Brandon with the facts. Appreciate you, man. Yes, indeed. Come on, man. Dak and Zeke should too, The frozen tundra, Dez caught it. The Landry. I wanted somebody else to say it. Yes, the Landry Trophy, right? It would be called the Landry Trophy, The Tom, like we're fighting for, like, man, how many Landrys you have? You know what I'm saying? Instead of Lombardis, My guy, Voch Lombardi, he wouldn't be called Voch Lombardi. He'd be Voch Landry. In some alternate universe, Voch Lombardi is Voch Landry. Yeah, in some alternate universe, it is. Look it up. Go to that universe, it's when we actually won. We just in the wrong dimension right now. With the hat and everything, there'll be a whole symbol. It'll be a whole different symbol out there, right? Like, man, how many Landrys you got, dog? We got 5. Well, now we would have 6, right? Yeah. Yeah, we would have 6 Landrys. So this game means something, man. Y'all know I can't stand the Green Bay. From the colors, from where they play, the field. And I ain't going to say the people. They're just taking it too hard on them. But I can't stand them, man. I don't even know how the food is because I never ate up there in Wisconsin. But y'all can let me know how the food is up that way. But I can't stand Green Bay. No, I can't stand it. The only thing that I want from them is that Lombardi. I want that Lombardi. Yeah.
I mean, anything can happen, of course, especially with the Vikings being as respectable as they are. But I do think the Cowboys are the better football team. So I'll say yes.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the Vikings are a pretty good playoff team, but I don't pick them to get out of the wild card round. And I think Green Bay is just broken. But the Vikings are getting lit up in the air. So I think this is going to be another game where the offense has a lot of success and maybe you're even into the 30s against Minnesota.
I'm kind of looking at this a couple different ways. The Packers have the Lions, I believe, this week. And so what worries me is they haven't played well at all the last 4 weeks. They really haven't. And so what I worry about them is they get this win, and then all of a sudden now it's that moment where they get the win against the Lions, and then they get the win against you, and they're 5-5. Mm-hmm. And then they're now kind of back into this thing. And it goes back. I always talk about the desperate team theory, and sometimes it seems to work. Other times it really, really doesn't. But, man, if Aaron Rodgers and these guys want to get back in this thing, they're going to have to beat the Cowboys. That scares me. I do think the Cowboys are better than the Vikings.
Oh, okay. So I think Brian Broaddus, he's not all the way in. I think he kind of worked for Green Bay for a while, if my memory serves me correct. Well, but shout out to Brian Broaddus. I look at it like this. Yeah, I think that this weekend we will all be looking at the Lions versus the Green Bay to see how they play or what have you. And secretly we'll be like, come on, Lions, come on. Because I don't want no momentum for the Green Bay Packers. But I really don't care. I don't care if the Green Bay Packers were undefeated right now. I want us, when we play them, to give them our best and beat them down. That's what I'm looking for. You can never count Rodgers out. Yeah, Brandon. That I will agree. That smirk and that face that he makes when he throws that ball down there for a big touchdown, and then I can only envision like Anthony Brown on Romeo Dobbs or whoever they have as a wide receiver get lost. But I can see clearly. I can see Trayvon Diggs picking him off though. Yeah, I can see Trayvon Diggs picking him off, though. Talking about Aaron Rodgers, because I can see that happen. I think I'm going to call it right now. This will be the game that Parsons got his first touchdown last game, right? The scoop, fumble, recovery, right? That was his first touchdown, right? Am I right? His first touchdown. This will be the game that Parsons get his first INT and take it to the house. Watch, I'm predicting. He would do a Lambeau leap, you know what I'm saying? Or a Landry leap, you know what I'm saying? I believe that somehow my memory in the future is that Parsons will have a pick six and do a Lombardi Lambeau leap, or a Landry leap. Come on, baby. We manifesting things over here, right? Come on. Watch, when you do it and we rewind this tape, just holler at your boy. You know what I'm saying? Just holler at your boy. And say, man, Law predicted that, man, during the bye week. Before the bye week even kicked off, Law already predicted that Parsons was going to do that. And look at what he's doing. He picked it off and he's running it in to the 30, to the 20. To the 10, he in, baby. Bland with an interception. Yeah. Power of the tongue. Shout out to your boss, man. Yo, I'm predicting it, baby. Come on. All right, man. We've been live for a minute. And I should have led open with this one and finished off with that one. But my guy had like 4 or 5 people to hit me up with this one, and they want me to go over it. Y'all good? Y'all want me to go over it? And this was from KJM this morning. There's Keyshawn Johnson's talk show in the morning time with the other guy that Stephen A. Smith squeezed out on First Take, Max Kellerman. So let's listen to these guys just for a little bit, man. I ain't gonna play the full one because it's about 11 minutes. Y'all good? You guys want to hang tight with me? Come on. Okay, y'all say yes.
I'm not sure that Lamar will be there for the next 5 years. I don't know. But I'll say this. What it comes down to me when you're parsing this stuff, and that includes the Cowboys and the Dolphins, is the quarterback. To me, that's the most important element. The five quarterbacks, he's not as good as these five guys. These five guys are all better than Dak Prescott.
I can agree with you. I can agree with that.
If you made a list, Key, you'd have all five of these guys ahead of Dak.
I don't know that Joe Burrow is better than Dak Prescott.
Would you take Dak Prescott or Joe Burrow?
I would. To be honest with you, I probably would take Dak Prescott.
I would definitely.
Keyshawn, baby! I know I got somebody. I got a dog in the hunt over here. Come on. Joe Burrow versus Dak Prescott, baby. Come on, let's go.
Take Joe Burrow.
Key, I hear what you're saying with the upside with Dak is I think people need to see Dak hit that upside. Or
Joe Burrow's been in the league 1 year.
Just show a little bit more as it relates to body of work.
Joe Burrow's been healthy for 1 year, Key, and won more playoff games than Dak in his whole career.
He took a team to the Super Bowl and lost. Okay. In 1 year, when he was healthy,
first year,
he took a team to the Super Bowl and lost. Had a hell of a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Had a good year. Everything fell right. If Ryan Tannehill doesn't do what he does, they don't even see Kansas City. So
get him with the facts, Keys. Man, Keys with the facts over there, baby. Ryan Tannehill went to bed, man. Shout out to all of the people that's rooting for the Tennessee Titans. But, man, come on.
I don't want to get into those sort of things. Me personally, I think that Dak Prescott, for me, is either slightly better than Joe Burrow or pretty.
That's why you'd have the Cowboys instead of the Bengals, maybe. I get it.
But you know what, though?
I think the Cowboys' defense, first of all, they're young and they're good. And they got one of the top three defensive players on the universe on their team.
I agree with that, man. Mike is a great
Let me give you a point. This is how you bog Max down. You ready?
Yeah.
So he just talked about Joe Burrow. Look at the success that Joe Burrow has had in 1 year.
Yep.
All right? And he uses that against Dak to a degree. What success has Justin Herbert had?
100%, Jay. If you want to take the Chargers off because of that, but I just
he got him with that one though. Hey, y'all got to admit, man, he got him with that one because Justin Herbert. I think he's 1-7 versus winning teams. Nobody bring that up, right? But Justin Herbert never been to the playoff, never got his team to the playoff, and they've been loaded since Justin Herbert stepped foot in the Chargers uniform. So they had running attack, they got good defense, and Jay Herb. He better take him to the playoff this year. If not, then we're going to all be looking at it like, come on now. Y'all keep putting Jay Herb up there, man. Come on now. These are all facts. Come on. And now look at Max Kellerman's face. Well, if you want to take him out, he said, if you want to take him out, just take him out then.
Translating to his team making the playoffs.
This is what I'm saying.
I'm using Max's calculation.
Use it
the way he sees it against him. That's all I'm doing.
Me, 100%.
It's not my argument.
And based on the evidence, you're absolutely right. And you could argue I should drop it. My eye tells me that Justin Herbert is if Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott are both on the board, I'm taking Herbert so fast.
Come on, man. I'm taking Dak still right now from the body of resume from what we done so far. And you talking about Jay Herb right now and Dak Prescott. Come on, man. Come on. I know that a lot of people look at Justin Herbert and say, man, if he was in a Cowboys uniform, man, he would probably do a little bit better than what Dak Prescott been doing. No. Let's listen to more.
That's not even something I got to think about.
I agree with you on that.
So, and by the way, I feel the same way about Burrow.
I don't know, but my eyes when I look at quarterbacks are different than yours. I love Justin Herbert too, but I understand what Dak Prescott is. Okay, the dude delivers the football in sync. He can move around. He can do everything. But one of the problems is when you get drafted in the 4th round, people want to say you didn't do this and you ain't that and you this and that, blah. If you drafted him in the 1st round, guess what you'd be saying?
You feel differently.
This dude is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, my God, this guy's ridiculous. It's the same argument for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
All
I got
of a
Hurts
sudden,
third, though, Key.
But no, hold on, Max, relax.
He
Just
got
calm
Hurts
down.
third.
I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the way the masses argue the quarterback points. If Tua was taken in the third round and having the success that he's having now, people would still be like, oh, yeah, he's a good player, da-da-da.
Yeah.
Now it's like he's getting ready to be the next Dan Marino because he was taken in the first round.
Right.
That happens. I get it. I understand it. But Dak Prescott is a hell of a quarterback, man.
Yeah.
Our general manager, Mike Tannenbaum, came on the show the other day and said he's a top 8 quarterback. Top 8.
I know,
And you
but
were
I
like,
only
huh?
got 5 teams here.
And you were like, huh? Whatever.
Come on, Keys. Come on, get right, man.
No. Say it could be top 8. I got 5 teams here, though, so I got 5 guys ahead of him, and then maybe 1 or 2 more.
But their teams aren't as good as his team.
Well, yeah.
The Cincinnati Bengals are not as good as his team.
I'm looking at
the Chargers are not as good as his team.
Chargers, if they're healthy.
They're not as good. They're not as good.
Chargers not good as the Cowboys, man. Come on,
I think the Chargers might be better if they're fully healthy.
Oh God, man!
They need a better. They need a. Let Sean Payton take over the Chargers. Listen, 888-729-3777.
Sean Payton on the Chargers, probably they still be 7-9. I don't care, man. Look, I get it what y'all talking about with the Chargers and what they're doing and everything over there. Their conference is kind of tough over there with their division. But I'm looking at it like this. Chargers don't have Michael Parsons. Diggs, they don't have those type of calibers of guys on defense. Now, when you start talking about the offensive side of the coin, man, I'm looking at what the Cowboys did against the Chargers when they was fully healthy. I think we won. Let's listen to more.
Shula back out and let him take over the Jets. What I mean, come on, stop.
Say ESPN. I was very forthright. I was very forthright with this list. I explained the criteria and where I placed
there
the
you go,
emphasis.
being slick
Steve
again.
in
New York
Virginia.
Slick. Here he go.
You're on with Keyshawn James.
Hold. And here's another argument that a lot of people like to say, like the quarterback playoff wins. Well, if you do that, then Jimmy Garoppolo got more playoff wins in the last 15 years than your boy Aaron Rodgers. Nobody's saying, all right, man, give me Jimmy J because he got more playoff wins. So you can't go with your argument with playoff wins because now are you saying that that's the individual thing or is that really the team thing? Because we can clearly see that this dude, Jimmy G, he been to the Super Bowl. Yeah, he didn't win it, but he got more playoff. Do y'all get what I'm saying, right? When they use that argument, well, hey, man, he's been here for 6 years. He only got 1 playoff win. That doesn't mean that, hey, since these 6 years, Jimmy G got more than a lot of these name top brand quarterbacks. I don't think that the people are beating down the door saying, give me Jimmy J. Come on, baby. Come on. All right, let's see what he got over here.
Hey, Will and Max, ESPN Radio.
Got to pin him down.
Hey, guys, I just want to say I'm a big fan. So here's the thing. I've been a diehard Cowboys fan for over 40 years. There's no way in the world Dak Prescott is on Joe Burrow's level. No way. He's a turnover machine. He chokes when he counts. He can't beat a winning record.
He's a turnover machine.
Listen, let me just finish real quick. Give me 5 seconds, man. I respect you more than anything, Keyshawn. When you played for Dallas, you went over the middle like nobody else. So I promise you, I'm a diehard fan. I'm not a hater. But you got to listen. Just like Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert was great a couple years ago, but this year, he's trash. Aaron Rodgers is trash. Tom Brady is trash this year. So you got to rank quarterbacks what they're doing now, not what they did in the past.
Wait a minute. That removes all of the argument of what he's saying there. If he's saying that you got to go off this year, well, if you're using that, then this year, if with what he's saying as a diehard fan, that Cooper Rush is better than Joe Burrow. If that's the case because he had more yards, he had more yards in that game, right? More tubs, and then he won. Head-to-head matchup if you want to utilize that argument. If that's the case. And if you're going by what they did this year, Burrows is really not lighting it up, Cowboy Nation. Didn't he just put up 0 against the Cleveland Browns? And I don't want to hear that, hey, it's because he didn't have his toys. But you just got to make it work. You just got to figure it out. Come on, man. He just contradicted himself. Ain't that right, Asmodeus? Come on, man. Let me see what they going to say. If they don't bring that type of heat, then I need to be called up to go up there.
Because you can't win what you did last year. But
So
Dak Prescott
with that being
choked.
said,
He's
so
missed
with
some
that being
receivers.
said, you said now, right? So how could
Yes,
you?
sir.
How could you have? You said now, not the past. Joe Burrow, you ranking Joe Burrow based on last year, not this year.
Get him.
No, I'm ranking him based on confidence and trust in getting it done and what he's going to do in the playoffs. He's
He
already
gotta get
proven
there.
what he can do. He's going to continue that this year. They lost last week without Jamar Chase. If you got Jamar Chase, Cleveland's not winning that game.
Well, I don't know that to be true. I don't know that Cleveland. I don't know that. I understand
Cleveland's
the
a bad
optics.
matchup for them.
I understand the optics. Joe Burrow has never beaten Cleveland with or without Jamar Chase.
But he did.
With or without Chase. Yeah, let's go, baby. Come on, Case.
He did come a throw away from winning the Super Bowl. I mean, that was the first time he touched the ball, and the last time he touched it, he won the national title with the greatest season ever.
I came a yard away from kicking a 40-yard field goal too.
Yeah.
But Key, you have to be.
And I took Beyonce to the prom. Come on, man. I could have, but I didn't want to ask her. You know what I'm saying? So come on. You can't use these what if and could ifs, coulda, woulda, shouldas, and then subject them to the argument and say, all right, man. So that's equivalent to saying that, all right, so if you want to utilize that with Jamar Chase, that this dude, Joe Burrows, is unstoppable, well, let's argue this then. Let's go back into time and say, all right, let's remove let's remove Dez Bryant, and let's give who's the hottest wide receiver in 2016 and 17, and you give that to Dak Prescott without the off-season issues and things like that, and that will be for his start, right, in 2017 and beyond, because we're going to leave out his rookie year because Joe Burrows took his team to the Super Bowl in his sophomore year, right, in his second year. So one can argue that even if Roger Goodell stay out of the mix, stay out of the mess with Elijah Elliott, and it's just Dak Prescott, and we went 9-7 in 2017, and I don't want to hear y'all Eagles drop all of those bird droppings of what y'all did in 2017. But I can tell you that if you remove that, if you want to do the woulda, shoulda, coulda situation, do we win at least one more game? Do we make it to the playoff in 2017 if Ezekiel Elliott is not suspended, if my guy Tyron Smith as well didn't get all beat up and all that crazy stuff that happened in the Atlanta game? Paul says Dak, because, Tyron Smith was out in that Atlanta's game, and then we had to bring in Chaz Green or somebody in there, and it was just terrible for us, whoever we brought in that game. That was 2017, right? I could be off. It could have happened in 18. Y'all let me know. But I'm just saying that if the NFL never stood in and suspended Ezekiel Elliott in 2017, I think that we are at least a +2 games. And I think that record would put us ultimately at 11 wins, right? Come on, man. That put us at 11-5 instead of 9-7. One can argue that with Ezekiel Elliott not being suspended for 6 games, we are probably a +3 or maybe 4. Shoot, the Cowboys have been running. But that's a story of another day. Paul says Dak is the most disrespected quarterback ever. He ain't lying. He ain't lying. King Element, whenever someone start off with as a Cowboy fan, I already know about to be some foolishness. King Element, as a Cowboy fan, yeah, you're right. As a diehard Cowboy fan, they just try to soften the blow a little bit. Give Dak D-Hop in 2016. Yeah, Jay Lombardi. Yes, indeed. Give him D-Hop. Give him a young wide receiver that's just about to excel in the National Football League. And I'm not dogging my guy Dez Bryant, because at that time, he was more on the outwards of being where he's supposed to be in his career versus on the upwards. But that's a story of another day.
Honest to a degree, and I know your eye sees it differently. There is an aura or a vibe about Joe Burrow that gives you way more confidence than Dak as of right now, until we see Dak do it at a high level consistently and take Dallas where everybody thinks Dallas can go.
I mean,
no. Before we say anything else about Joe Burrow, first and foremost, This is not me dogging Joe Burrows for what he did at LSU, just phenomenal, right? And Dak and Joe Burrows, they only a year apart. Joe Burrows is long in the tooth, man. He was an old senior in college, man. They only a year apart. They only about a year apart or so, you know. So it's not like Joe Burrows is this young 22, 22-year-old guy. I could be off. He could be, 2 years apart. I don't know. But he's older. He's an older quarterback, by the way. He started off where at Ohio State and then went to LSU, stayed there forever, and then he got to the league, and then he did remarkable things in his second year, of course, battling through an injury and things like that. So what I'm trying to say is I'm not finna take away anything from Joe Burrow. I love his toughness. I think that he goes through his reads and progressions pretty good. He got a good spin on the ball. He don't have the strongest arm in the world, but he can get the ball there, and shout out to him. But let's go. Let's listen to what they have to say now. I had to put that out there so people won't be looking at it like, Law, you just hate Joe Burrows. Shout out to Joe Burrows. I like him.
Right?
Just look at
that's
look
fair.
at Burrow. This is a fact about Burrow. He had the greatest season. Joe Burrow had the greatest season in the history of college football, capped by the greatest game in the championship game in the history of college football. And the first time he started in the pros for a full season, he came a throw away from winning the Super Bowl.
And guess who else was really good in college? Guess who else?
And who also came a throw away from winning the Super Bowl at first full season?
Wait. Because I saw the game. With that argument, a throw away from winning the Super Bowl, one can argue that Jimmy Garoppolo, because I see my brother laid out on the floor like Family Guy, was a throw away from winning the Super Bowl. And I'm glad that he overshot Emmanuel Sanders or didn't really get there enough to hit Emmanuel Sanders, SMU Texas native. You know what I'm talking about in that Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Did y'all know that he was one throw away? They connect on that. The Niners have 6 rings. Let me know if I'm wrong. Dak Prescott is 29. Joe Burrows is 25. All right, so what is it, 4-year difference? Okay, all right, I'm off a little bit. Well, when he was a senior, he was a freshman. And I think that Joe Burrow, when his birthday is, he about to be 26. They probably only 3 years apart from each other. That means that they can still be in school together, you know. Burrows is 26, Dak is 29. Yep, they in college, they in high school together. They in the same school almost, man.
Let me tell you something, Pax.
Did it happen or not?
Let me tell you something.
Don't die.
That was last year, man.
He'll be fine.
I'm not saying that he's not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't like him. I like him. He wears a mink coat. He likes to change. He has his Cartier glasses on.
You got it.
I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, when you talk about Dak Prescott, this dude said he's a turnover machine. Well, last I checked, Joe Burrow was a pick machine.
Yeah.
Last I checked. So I don't want to say that.
Listen, Dak is real good, man. I'm not saying Dak's not good. I just got at least 5 dudes better.
What's real good mean? Dak is top 10?
Yeah.
All right, so name the 5 quarterbacks right now that y'all will take over Dak Prescott. Hey, man, this is a wonderful episode, man. Check out these guys, man, on ESPN, Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. That's what the KJM stand for. Just good debate, good dialogue so far. But let me know if y'all 5 selections. And we got, well, let me see what I can do here. Let's say 15 minutes. 15 minutes. We'll do 15 minutes or so. Call my phone, hit my line, only ones who down for. Appreciate everybody for jumping in. The name is Law Nation. We open up just for a few minutes. Can't have a long conversation because I got to roll. But I wanted to be able to at least do a call-in show at least every episode. So we can get on up out of here.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
Amen.
All participants are muted.
Right. There's a room fill up.
Son of God, not a son of Sam. Keep it
The phone line, the hotline for your mind, 657-390-7391. All right. We're going to get this thing going, man. I got Darius, man, from the 214, man. You back-to-back first person in here, man. Talk to me, man, D.
Oh, man, I've been trying to get this Dak point out for 3 weeks, man.
3 weeks?
But look, so first of all, shame on you, Law, because what you did was you painted me in a corner, and I see you shouted my, the little argument that we kind of had yesterday on the brothers podcast. You could have shouted your boy out. You know what I'm saying? But shame on you because you painted me into a corner and you made it a Tony Pollard versus Christian McCaffrey.
I did. Yeah. Now I remember. Yeah, Darius. Yeah.
I vehemently was trying to say, no, I don't want to do that. You're going to have Lady Jessica on my head. You're going to have the PVO crew. We not to do that. You know what I'm saying? I do not want to do that. Basically, what I was trying to say was, listen, Christian McCaffrey, this is not a debate. If you poll the players in the league, who is the top 5 I'm not talking about because we have a hate thing with the whole media. We're not talking about media.
Right.
If you poll the players in the league, who would be your top 5 running backs in the league? Christian McCaffrey is on that list.
Because he's been there. He's more validated, right? Like right now, if you pose like I'm about 10 and a half years older than James Harden, right? If you poll somebody and say, hey, who is this guy trying to look like? They're going to say, hey, man, Law is trying to look like James Harden. Whereas I've been on this planet, this dimension, longer than James Harden, right? Before he even had born, I had facial hair before this man could even think about shaving, right? But people going to literally say that, hey, man, James Harden had that look before him, So that's just how it goes with validation. Now, when you look at CMC, just like I told my brother last night, he got over 500 yards, right? But it took him 111 attempts to get there. My guy, Tony Pollard, he got only 81 attempts, and they got the same amount of yards, only 20 yards off, and with more touchdowns, with 5 touchdowns right now, and averaging 6.2 yards per toe. So you mean to tell me that explosiveness, he's not even the starting running back, can't be in the same room as CMC right now?
You're doing it again, Law. That's not what I was saying. You're doing it again. I do not want to go down that path. That's a long, dark, lonely path. All I'm saying is Christian McCaffrey, bro, if you have 5 running backs in the league, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, and the coach, Jonathan Taylor. You know what I'm saying? They would probably, it would be those 5, not in particularly in that order. But the next thing I was trying to, so I had 2 more points.
Go ahead.
Before I get out of here. So the other point I wanted to say was, listen, when you a Cowboy fan, I was just born this way. I didn't know everything that came into everything that entailed being a Cowboy fan. But people should have told me that when you become a Cowboy, listen, out to the whole Cowboy Nation, you got to tell your kids, when you put this armor on of the star and the blue and silver, there's things that's gonna come with it. You gotta be armed and you gotta be ready. Man, I done seen many of Cowboy fans fold under that pressure. You will get hit up out here. You will get jumped. It'll be a old stinking ass Eagle fan, always somewhere in the mix. A Pittsburgh Steelers fan over here, another fan over here. I done seen many of Cowboy fans will underneath that pressure. Not me. I come and say today, every time, you got to be ready. The thing I want to say about that is, with the media, if you are not a elite passer of the football, you will get harshly criticized. That's why you have that, like, so that's why I like the quarterbacks like Dak, Michael Vick, Cam Newton. Because they're not elite passers. Like, it's a difference between being a quarterback, total package quarterback, and elite passer of the football. Those are 2 separate things.
I'm following you. I'm following you, man. I'm following you. Let me go ahead and lock it up, man. Let me lock it up.
Conference has been locked.
But I'm following you. What you're saying is that, are you talking about arm talent,
Arm talent. Strictly arm talent. Those will be the media darlings. Like they will give those type of passers. They'll give them a lot of leeway. They're like the media look at them like you can do no wrong. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Pat Mahomes, Peyton Manning. All of these guys are elite. Justin Herbert, Justin Hubert. All of these guys are elite passers, throwers of the football, so they will have a lot more leeway.
But I look at it like this: like we seen a video that was like went viral, right? Like Dak Prescott versus Carr. I think it was the Carr brother, the older brother, right? When Dak Prescott rookie year, they was in some type of symposium, and it was just like a target expedition, right? You remember that? And Dak Prescott missed like every last throw. He only hit one. It was terrible. It was terrible. But everybody used that and said, "Hey man, see, I told you he can't hit water if he fell off a boat. Man, he's terrible. He can't throw right." And I remember that they hold on to that forever. But when Dak Prescott had the throwing competition against Justin Herbert, oh man, Justin Herbert, because Dak Prescott beat him. Oh, it's just because Justin Herbert wasn't really into it. You know what I'm saying? So
that's my whole point.
That's just how it will always be viewed. Like I've literally seen that people chop up a clip montage of Justin Herbert and said Dak would never do that. Then I pull up the same exact throw from the same yard line in Pittsburgh, Dak Prescott hitting Dez Bryant down the seam, because that was the day that Dez Bryant's father passed away that weekend or what have you, and Dez Bryant still played in the game. You remember that throw? And even Tony Romo on the sideline said, "That's a dime." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But people will overlook those throws, man. You know, people won't even go and talk about those throws, but they will they'll elevate the other quarterback throws. So it's a lose-lose battle with the Cowboys.
But I'm saying that's why, because they're elite. If we had an elite I don't get on my head. I'm just saying if you had a transcendent, elite, talented Pat Mahomes throwing ability as a quarterback, we would get that same type of acknowledgement. But they're going to be judged harshly and more critically because like the guys like Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick, Dak Prescott, Cam Newton. Those are going to be the guys, and to an extent Jalen Hurts. But,
so do you put Josh Allen, just because he got a strong arm? Do you put him in a situation that he's more accurate? Just because his arm is stronger?
I'm saying media-wise.
Okay.
I'm saying media-wise, they look at him as an elite passer, transcendent passer of the football, so he gets a lot of leeway. They gon' not look at the picks that he threw because they know that he is an elite passer of the football. But I want to say this last thing before you kick me up out of here. The last thing that I wanted to say was, man, listen, that last game, that's how you goddamn play some football, man. That's how you. I was wrong about that. My main thing was, listen, I would literally see that he wouldn't even do a whole 3-step drop, like from underneath the center. He would just hit it, boom, throw it quick. You know what I'm saying? It was like quick. They wouldn't have enough time to come at him. Listen, that's how you play football, and do not let unsullied Mike fool y'all. He still has a lot to prove. Let him win 2 playoff games, and then I'll be Team Mike McCarthy. Please, do not fall underneath the Cowboy Nation. We do it every time. Don't do it. Let him prove himself first, and that's it.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you for calling in, fam. Thank you, man. Good call from him. That's Darius. Let me set this up for everybody to see, man. I thank my guy Darius so much for calling in. And let me read this out right here. 104.2, that put him in third, right? This is Dak Prescott passer rating last season, of course. And then let me just make it prettier because I'm believing. Yeah, y'all can see it's only his hand. So y'all bear with me while I straighten this up a little bit. We gonna make it prettier. All right, bam. We're going to do it like this. We're building the plane while it's in the air. Build it as we fly. They say build it as we fly. And boom. 104.2. Completion percentage, 410, right? Attempts, 596. That's 8th. Completion percentages, that's 68.8. That's fourth. Yards, 4,449. We looking at all of these things. Yards per average, that's tied with Herb, that's tied with Cousin, that's tied with Lamar and Dak, of course. Yards per game, that's seventh. So I'm looking at all of these stats right here, as you guys can pull it up on your screen, and I'm looking at it literally like I don't see 10. I don't see a bunch of 8s and 9s. I'm seeing him anywhere between averaging third and fourth and sometimes fifth in these major categories. And from what this particular guy, I forgot his name, he said this more yards and touchdowns than Josh Allen, fewer interceptions, and number one offense, and still got to prove it to everyone. You know what I'm saying? So it goes to show you that we are so blinded by the media with this man's stats and with his accolades. And of course, you got to win playoff games. But nobody is bringing up the fact that even Aaron Rodgers, he lost to Jimmy Garoppolo. Nobody's saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is better. No one. But since Dak lost to Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers, it's all about his QBR. It's all about Rayne Dakota Prescott and not the collective team. But somehow, one way or another, for the Green Bay, it's about their collective team. That's a crazy thing. So nobody's going to be scrutinized and put up against this type of scrutiny than Dak Prescott. And I don't want to hear people say, well, it's because he played for the America's team. Well, aren't other people's getting paid money too to play for their respective teams? Shouldn't that be the same argument for all, not just for one? Oh, man, it's just crazy. All right, I got my guy from the 815. This is my dog, my brother from another mother. Don't look like Danny Glover. Brandon, you're live.
Man, y'all so funny with this Dak Prescott talk, man. It's like, look,
I knew you were going to say something about this.
I get it. Y'all are Dak fans. Like, I can't even, like, let this go. Like, y'all are.
Am I a Dak fan or a Cowboy fan right now? You know, I'm standing on the shit for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. Then I just defended Tony Pollard, right? So am I a Tony Pollard fan or a CMC fan?
Y'all want to defend him. That's what I want to talk about. Dak fans are the same people who will say, well, Tony Pollard never carried the balls over 14, 15 times, so how do you know he can do it? Like, y'all are those same people. Like, back to that. Look, how many games did we win last year? My memory is foggy. How many games we win last year?
11.
We won 11.
I mean, 12. Oh, Dak won 11, and then the team won 12 because Cooper Rush won one. I apologize. So we won 12 games last year. You know, Dak won 11. You know, if you want to do it that way.
Okay, well, Dak won 11. Okay, somebody who won 11 games. I was looking, and then I seen something. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember because I watched it. Dak was 5 of 14 on third down.
Right.
That same guy that won 11 games. This same guy that we throwing a parade. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dak beat the Bears. Like, dude, when the matters most, Dak was 5 of 14 on third down. We lost the game. I'm sorry if Miss.
Oh, you talking about in 49ers? You talking about the 49ers game?
When we played the 49ers in the game that mattered, the playoff game,
right?
He was 5 of 14 on third down.
Like,
where was that 37? What did that 37 touchdown get us? I'm gonna restate my case.
Restate your case, but can you mention those 14 penalties, the most penalized team in the playoff last year, and we only played one game?
So is it a team sport? Is it a team sport when Dak lose, or is it a team sport when Dak wins? Which one is it?
Well, according to Keyshawn Johnson, you know, it's a team sport when it's not a team sport when Joe Burrows beat good old Ryan Tannehill, because all Ryan Tannehill had to do was just run the ball. All they had to do was hand it off. But by Ryan Tannehill throwing 3 or 4 interceptions, all of a sudden that becomes a stat and an accolade for Joe Burrows, right? That's the same argument. It's the same argument that we having right now, right? Because he got credit for beating the Titans, right? He got credit for beating the Chiefs. He got credit for going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and when Dak played the Chiefs, we lost 9-19. I'm gonna restate my case. Dak Prescott, I think, is a above average quarterback.
Right.
An above average quarterback. I think he beats up on bad teams. He beats up on bad teams. He beats up on bad teams.
So do Justin Herbert.
But this is my point.
And so do Aaron Rodgers. He's below 500 against winning teams. Aaron Rodgers is below 500 versus winning teams, and he is one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever walked this land. Right? He's below 500 against winning teams.
I guarantee you, in Green Bay, they not saying we having a bad season, but Dak, he done lost some games. He played bad against Tampa Bay. Like, we the only fans that measure like Dak Prescott. Like, if Dak Prescott don't do good, well, this other quarterback didn't do good. Like our quarterback was 5 of 14 on third down through a horrible interception in that game. I'm sorry, and I got another question for you, Law.
Talk to me.
Tell me the last good team that we beat that wasn't the Eagles, who was an okay team last year. Tell me the last time Dak Prescott has won a shootout like y'all tell me. Oh, if we had to, Dak could throw down 4 or 5 touchdowns. Tell me the game that he did that and we won. I'm waiting. Just you got the floor.
Well,
tell me when that happened.
Tell me this right here. Was he the only reason why we lost those games?
he was not. But I remember one time I called you, said, "Well, what about when we that Green Bay game we was down 21-3?" And I still have the same question. Does
all right, hold
the ball back? Like, when is it like? At what
I got
point
you.
Do you be like, hey? We was down 21-3. The defense gave us some points. They only gave us 10 points in the second half. But what did Dak do in that 21-3 stretch?
I tell you what. Since you want to move the goalpost. So what was Dak Prescott was again on third down? Can you tell me? Because my researcher person just brought it up.
5 of 14.
Okay, he was 5 for 14 against the San Francisco 49ers on third down, right?
Right.
Well, my research department just hit me up. Your boy Aaron Rodgers was 5 for 12 against that same team at home. Who was the number 1 seed in the who was the number 1 seed in the NFL last year?
That would be Green Bay. The last.
And who had the 3rd ranked defense in the NFL last year?
I'm assuming you saying San Francisco.
No.
It was Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay. So what I'm trying to say is, what we try to do is we're trying to paint a picture with a person.
Can I respond to that?
Go ahead.
Respond to that.
Go ahead.
Literally nobody who watched that game didn't say Aaron Rodgers was terrible. But you guys would sit up here and say, oh, he had 2 left shoes on. The wind was blowing left, but we wanted to blow right. Like, dude.
Dog, they put up 10 points. He threw a 22.6 QBR against the 49ers. The reason why nobody say that is because nobody got the balls to say it on ESPN. They love to kiss up to Green Bay. They love to paint the narrative that Dak Prescott only had a bad game against the 49ers. But in actuality, it was the number 1 seed who was 20 for 29, who only threw for 225 yards, that had zero touchdowns, And he had a hellacious Devontae Adams, a hellacious Aaron Jones, and they couldn't do nothing against those 49ers. He threw a worse QBR, a QBR of 22.6. Hey, he had some missed throws, boy, at home in Green Bay.
Did people not say that was on Aaron Rodgers?
Nobody, not a soul talked about Aaron Rodgers about that game.
If you watch that game, you see what was the final score? Like
10-13.
Like, dude, they didn't do
10-13. What was the how much did the 49ers beat us by?
It was it was like 17-23, so it was like about 6 points.
6 points, still one score game.
Again though, like we lost, like what if
we had 14? We had 14 penalties in that game. And we can all say that the drive that they did scored on the Cowboys, they finally started to utilize the run game. And when we finally saw a semblance of real football, when we saw a balanced approach, and then we went down there and scored off of that series. Guess who was the first person to score? It was Dak Prescott with his legs in that game.
And we didn't get another point until the fourth quarter.
Into the fourth quarter.
That's my point. So what happened in the second quarter?
14 penalties. Go back and watch the game. 14 penalties. Name me a team. Put out this. I'll send you $100 right now if you can name me a team that had 14 penalties in the playoff and still won.
Wow, we get a lot of penalties now. We still get a lot of penalties.
And on top of that, how many penalties did Dak Prescott cause?
I mean, what does that have to do with each day?
Well, you try to say that he's the reason why they lost, but I'm trying to figure out of those 14 penalties, how many penalties did he commit? You know.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: how many interceptions did the team throw, and how many interceptions did that?
He threw an interception, but do you trade off the interception for the touchdown? So did he? All right, so he threw he threw one interception, but he scored twice. He ran one in for a touchdown. He threw a touchdown to Amari Cooper. So wouldn't that be a trade off? 2 touchdowns to 1 interception. Hold on, would you take 2-to-1 ratio? Would you take 2 tubs versus 1 interception? Yes or no?
No, I want to take the win because we lost.
I know we lost, but if you're trying to pin it on one guy, this is the argument that we will have. This is the argument we will have. If Aaron Rodgers was good enough to have 1 touchdown, they would have beat the 49ers. But he wasn't good enough to even get 1 touchdown.
Look, I'm not sitting up here saying like, oh, Aaron Rodgers had a good game. He was terrible. That argument is, I'm not using it. I'm talking about Dak. That man had, the defense gave up, I believe, 6 points or 10 points in the second half. We did nothing. Dak Prescott, literally, I think his throwing percentage was in the 50s. Like, my God, like all I'm saying.
So what's your main point of this whole argument? Is that, are you literally saying that we lost that game? Hold on. Are you literally saying that we lost that game only because of Dak? Yes or no?
I'm saying we lost that game, and Dak was a huge reason of that loss. I'm not saying
he wasn't the reason why they scored either. He wasn't the reason why they scored either, huh? He wasn't the reason why they scored, huh? Hey, Brandon, I love you, man. I thank you so much for calling in. I needed this laugh. Man, come on, man. Let me hear you say it, bro.
Look, I wasn't going to let y'all do this all day. How about those Cowboys? I know they bad, too.
Hey, man, he finna get some hate, man. Oh, my gosh. Oh my gosh, man! Stick to the formula, the philosophy. Run the ball. Let's not look. This is my last line on Dak Prescott. I want Dak Prescott anywhere from 20 22 to 26, maybe 27 attempts. The rest could be on the defense. The rest could be on the offense of running the ball, splitting the carries with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. I promise you, we wouldn't be having these conversations. But I got 2 more calls. I got Chris 214, then I'm going to finish it off with Coach Marv. Chris 214, you live.
Well, I am ashamed of being next to that last caller in this call line. I'm ashamed. I am ashamed.
Shame.
Anyway.
Shame. Shame.
Oh, my God, man.
Man, I don't even know what to say after this, man. Like, I'm over here at work and I'm listening to this nonsense, man. Oh, but anyway, I was just gonna make this quick little point right here. Oh, man, as far as with these shows and stuff, man, you know, like the First Take.
Right.
You know, Skip Show, and there's another show with LaShawn McCoy on there. That show is absurd. That show is ridiculous.
Oh, you talking about one with David Hellman on there, right? You know, David.
Yeah.
David fighting hard for us, man. He fighting all he can.
Yeah. No, David, that's the man right there. But LaShawn McCoy,
shady.
Like, I truly think that these dudes that be on these shows, they get paid to say anything stupid about the Cowboys because they know it's going to bring that viewership. They know it's going to raise up those ratings.
Right.
And I feel like if you do listen to him talk, you be like, dude, like, you actually played the game. Like, bro, like, how are you gonna make a statement saying that Dak doesn't know how to read defenses like Cooper Rush? Like, huh?
He said that. Yeah, I remember that episode. Yeah,
but you know, like, could you imagine what those shows would be without the Dallas Cowboys?
It won't be a show.
Like Stephen A's whole little, how about them Cowboys? What can go wrong will go. Like ESPN puts a lot of money into that and the Cowboys. Like, man, like, I honestly feel like they say things just to get ratings. But yeah,
no, it's what it is, Chris. When you look on like the topic lines, like, no one's talking about the Rams. You would never even knew that they made it to the Super Bowl and won it last year, right? It's just like they're water under a bridge, man. Stafford is a shell of himself this season, and he was last year pretty much being carried by the I think they had the number 1 defense in the league last year. And we see how much value Von Miller brought to that team. And no one's talking about that. No one's talking about, like, if the Cowboys got shut out by the Browns, right? And if you pick up, you know, the whole situation about the Joe Burrows versus Dak, I get it, right? Joe Burrows will always be perceived to be a better quarterback. That's what what's the guy Keyshawn was saying. But nobody talks about that game. They're going to say, okay, you know, they're going to bounce back. They're going to figure out a way. And it goes back to the point they bring up the Cowboys. They bring up other teams just to mention the other team, right? The Cowboys. Yep. So for right now, the Eagles, like, they're 7-0, right? And they are not going to talk about if the Cowboys were in the same shoes, right? They would talk about the levels of competition, how many teams did they beat that's above 500 outside of the Minnesota Vikings. They will gloss over it. And it reminds me of one year the doggone Pittsburgh Steelers went 11-0, right? And they was talking about them, and then all of a sudden, bam. You see, a quick shock happened all around the world, and doggone the Pittsburgh Steelers never looked the same. But I get it, right? The optics of it is always talk up the Cowboys. You get your views.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Talk up the Cowboys.
All right, man.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, man. Good call for you, Chris. Last but not least, man, we got Coach Marv, man, in the building. Shout out to him from the 803. You're live. Talk to me, man.
What's going on, Law? How you doing, brother?
Nothing to it, Chief. Talk to me, man.
Man, and some lot of time to build up different type of stories. Cowboy fans need to understand one thing, man. When you the most talked about it, every story is talked about more than the Super Bowl champions. That tells you that you can't believe just about any story that comes out by the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to really censor your listening to certain people.
Right.
And that's a hard thing to do. And even the people that's putting out content.
Yep.
Or the real Cowboy fans or the people in the building.
Mm-hmm.
They have to censor themselves to know what's real and what's not real and not move the needle on people just putting things out there. So we're in a good spot, Law. I really like where we at, man. You are so right about we just need to stick to the plan, stick to the plan, the blueprint that works for us. I watched y'all on the Final Word the other day. I just think sometimes we forget about it's the collection of the players, man. It's the sum of the parts.
Right.
It's more important than this one individual. And when we talk about our running game, it's the sum of the parts of our running game that's going to make our running game special, not one individual.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sum of the parts of our offensive line and our running backs that can make our running game special, not just one running back, not one offensive lineman. It's the sum of the parts, and our sum of the parts are so good that we can, put a guy on the sideline, and the next guy come out, and he gives a same attack or give us a threat in a different way. Yep. And I think those guys understand it, and they are bought into it.
Right.
So why they're bought into it, why our fans are not?
Yeah, I think there's so much volumes of news leaks out, right? Like I got somebody in the comment box that like week 1 through 5, quarterback controversy. Now we having a running back controversy. Now people are banging on the table to bring in another wide receiver so we can have a wide receiver controversy. There's no other team in the National Football League that got these type of controversies. Just look around. Nobody ever brings up controversy. They say, hey, that's a good situation for the Browns to utilize 2 running backs, or other teams to utilize both running backs, or other teams to utilize this and that.
I mean, go back far on that, Law.
Mm-hmm.
It started out with an offensive line controversy.
Big facts. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And listen, it started out with an offensive line controversy.
Yeah.
And even before that, it started off with a coaching controversy.
Big facts.
Now they done moved off, and McCarthy is gone. There's no more Sean Payton rumors at this particular point in time. There's nobody talking about Dan Quinn gonna take over. Then they moved to the offensive line because somebody got hurt, and they said, well, do we gonna play the tackle? Need to get another person in here? Do we need to play the next guy there? Then you go to the quarterback. And you got to understand that these sources are coming from people who don't care about the Cowboys.
Right.
And that's why they want you. You got to understand, a lot of these passing rumors and all these receiver rumors are not coming from, listen, it's coming from people that want to be, that are not true believers of the running game, regardless of how well it's being doing.
Right.
And they're going to find their way back they're going to want to try to find their way back to passing. And listen, I don't have listen, I'm not saying that you don't supposed to get better talent.
Right.
But if the formula is, and I agree with your formula, if the formula is 30 or less passes a game, bringing in another guy, there's only one football.
Yep, only one.
And when you pay a guy, let's say you bring in Cooks. Let's say if the deal could have closed the deal with Cooks.
Yeah.
You're going to throw the ball more than 30 times.
You're going to be one more attempt to throw, right? One more testing.
Because you're not going to pay that money for him to get 1 or 2 passes a game.
Yeah, true that.
You're not going to do that.
Right.
So you're going to pay, and listen, and you're not, and they have shown that they will, and they have shown that they're going to target their guys. So you still going to get the Lamb targets. You still going to get the Gallagher. You're going to still get the Schultz targets. I'm just hoping that we as an offense, that we start liking and falling in love with some of these two other tight ends, where not that they're taking, but we utilize them to make plays for us.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we fall in love with just doing certain plays with a James Washington. We asking for James. I know a lot of people talking about James Washington. They're talking about, well, what are you asking James Washington to do? You're asking James Washington to maybe catch you 1 or 2 passes, maybe a game, and make a couple of big plays. That's any third wide receiver or fourth wide receiver. We think we need to bring a guy here to catch 8, 9 passes. No. Listen, when Odell Beckham was brought into the Rams, we don't really believe if we bring Odell Beckham in, is he going to really be beneficial for the season? It took him 4 weeks for him to even get productive in L.A.
Yeah, it did took him.
And now and that's coming off being healthy.
Yeah.
So now he will be coming here hurt. Coming off an injury, and then he has to get acclimated into the system. So you're talking about a guy that you may pay that might be beneficial at the end of the season.
At the end of the season.
That's if.
And the only reason why I absolutely agree with you, because I was pretty much laughing at the Rams when they picked up Odell Beckham. It's a long history of me saying, like, man, come on, Odella. I've been calling him Odella. But it did took them a minute to get right into rhythm and flow. And then that injury occurred to Jefferson.
He said, well, he had a great Super Bowl. He caught some passes in the Super Bowl, and yes, he made some plays. But they asked him to make 3 to 4 plays a game. He was averaging about 4 to 5 catches in a game. He was not averaging 10, 11 catches. They asked him to do 3 or 4 big plays or possession plays per game. Cooper Rush in the running game, the Rams ran the ball more last year, and the running game will keep, and we bring you in to do just the spot duty, to be that guy, to make a couple of plays, but you're not going to be, and that's all we are asking the guys. If we run the football and depend on this offensive line to be physical, we're not asking our receivers to do what we think we want to do. Law, I'm telling you, I've been doing football a long time. If you consistently run the ball, you ain't got to worry about getting open.
Yeah, but here's one thing though, Coach, and I know you're about to wrap it up. But here's one thing. I think that the reason why most people are banging on the table is not for that third or fourth option. It's because of the level of trust that they have with CeeDee Lamb. I think that a lot of people don't see CeeDee Lamb as that solid piece right now. They see some insecurities with his skill of play. Think about this. And
I think they're totally wrong. Where tell me because he dropped a couple of passes.
No. It's just the mentality, though.
Let me tell you something, Law. We got to think about this. The same thing that we protect, we go shoot people down because they be shooting down Dak Prescott. Let's use the same thing with CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
Because I see these same things in other receivers that don't get pointed out like that.
Well, let me ask you this though. Coach. Here's my point of this though, right? Right now, straight up, is CeeDee Lamb more right now on the levels of Michael Irvin or Alvin Harper right now in his career? Is he close? Is he closer to Alvin Harper or is he closer to Michael Irvin? He ain't no Michael Irvin. I can tell you, he's not Michael Irvin right now. Who are you close
to? Michael Irvin. But let me give you a little nugget.
Talk to me, man.
Amari Cooper wasn't nowhere close to Michael Irvin's status to me. Because you know something? I think we forget. We questioned him many times for disappearing.
Yeah.
But we blamed it on the coordinator.
Well, Amari Cooper right now, you know what I'm saying? Now,
and you know something? He disappeared this year. And he's not consistent in Cleveland. It's one game on, one game off.
Uh-huh. Well,
check the stats. It's one game.
We'll look into that. We're looking at that. But what I'm trying to get at too is, Coach, what we had, we got to go all the way back if we want to simplify this thing. We had the playmaker, right? we had Alvin Harper, right? That to be that other guy. Our third wideout was what, Kevin Williams at the time. Those were our three. Those were our three that we rocked with. And I know the NFL changed since then. And pretty much our big sets was with Moose, Novacek, right? Those were our big sets. So if we can do some of the similar things of just getting the ball in the belly of Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, I don't think that we need all of those weapons. But what I'm saying is that
I'm just saying this, Law. I can understand what you're saying.
Right.
But how we can even say this on 3 games?
Because we can't. But this is the thing. That's why people are a little skittish. That's why people are a little skittish on. I believe the people are more skittish on 88. And I'm not throwing any shade at CeeDee Lamb, because you already know what I said before the season. I think people are just skittish on 88, and they want to bring in somebody else just to alleviate that. And they know for sure that you can't really look at to. I know Gallup, he had a good game against the Chicago Bears, but people are looking at it like, not to dismiss Gallup, but I think that most of the worries is on 88 right now.
It's most of 88 because this is the same, and I keep trying to tell people this is the exact same thing. We just don't see it. It's the exact same attack as if we be on Dak Prescott, when they so idiots that he can win big games, and there hadn't been no record to show that he didn't play, and anything that he does wrong, they blow it out of proportion like it's the worst thing since sliced bread, and all he can't do it. Law, you don't see it. It's the exact same thing. We have already come in with a predetermined expectation of CeeDee Lamb because Amari Cooper was gone. So it makes no difference. He has to play over this. He has to play like Michael Irvin for real for us to even consider him. And soon as he can play like that for 5 games. And soon as he have a bad game or drop a ball, it'll go right back to the same thing again.
Yeah, because here's the reason why, though, Coach.
That we have put on him, that we are saying that he's got to play over, above, and beyond, and we're judging him, and people having problems of saying, well, let's see. The first real game with Dak Prescott has really got in rhythm, which I think it took 2 games for him to get in rhythm.
Right.
I don't think he had a bad game, and if you don't throw the ball no more than, 20-some times, and you spread the ball around, 7 catches seems like a lot based on the amount of passes you threw.
Right. I feel what you're saying, though, Coach. It just goes back. It just goes back to this, though, Coach. Here's the reason why it goes back to this, is because the expectations even of Lamb is now even more is higher. It could be literally higher than the expectations of Dak. In a sense, because Lamb was a first-round draft pick, and they are looking at others. They are looking at others who were drafted or what they did. And I know it's 3 games, but people are going to look at it like it's a contract year for him. The expectation. Now, it went away a little bit for Trayvon Diggs, because they looking at it like, hey, man, all-team, first-team All-Pro. Hey, it was his 2nd year last year. Now he's going into his 3rd year. So they tempered the expectations from Trayvon Diggs, but the expectations for CeeDee Lamb is still like, hey, man, he ain't a number 1 until he.
I know you got to go, Law. I got to go, but I'm going to say this one thing right quick. I know people going to shoot me down, but when I the 90s, I watched the Cowboys just about every game. And I challenge people to go back and just watch the 90s game. And you'll watch the great Michael Irvin perform. But the great Michael Irvin, drop passes.
Yeah.
Great Michael Irvin.
Yeah, he did.
Fumbled the ball a couple of times trying to make moves.
Mm-hmm.
But see, again, we look at it and we put it on and say that these guys, when you win, there is nothing you can't do no better. I would say this: if you have confidence in the guy, just like this is your guy, just like I said about Dak Prescott, we're judging a guy after three games, and then we said, well, the years he was there, he was a second wide receiver. And he did very well as a second wide receiver. But in the number one role, we give him 3 games or 8 games, 5 games without his quarterback, which the great Michael Irvin struggled when he had Jason Garrett at quarterback.
He did, yeah.
So we give him 5 games, and then we say, well, let's see how this offense goes. And let's see what I see, if in the right opportunities, and then this one that we all understand this. We've seen what the number one receiver got, how he got targeted, and how he got used in the offense before. And we said, we crushed Kellen Moore on not using his number one receiver correctly. But now you think he's using it correctly now?
Well, like you said, it's gonna take some time though, more than 3 games.
So what if he does? What if he uses Lamb in the same way?
Yeah.
Not letting him be creative. But we're gonna blame Lamb, but first we blame Kellen. The same frustration you may see on Lamb's face, and I said this earlier, Lawman, I said, watch his attitude. I remember telling you this. Because he and Cooper were close. So if he sees the same frustration in the offense, he's going to feel like he's trapped.
Yeah. But I think that the expectations is even higher now because that kid is wearing 88. And it's equivalent to and he wearing 88. See, the expectations of Diggs is his own man. Diggs wearing 7. See, if Diggs had 21 on his back and they was saying, okay, man, hey man, Prime, if Diggs had Prime number, he'll be more of a target. You see what I'm saying with this,
he's the second of the 88. He's the second of the 88. You know something?
Yeah.
And after he retire or after he leaves, they'll give more credit. Because the great Dez Bryant was the 88 that had the target on the back. And we know Dez dropped a lot of footballs, way more than CD Lamb.
Yes, indeed. But I appreciate you, Coach Ball, man. We're gonna when I have more time, man. Boy, I'm supposed to finish this, man. I appreciate you, man.
Hey, man. I appreciate you, man. We'll get through this weekend. We're gonna be ready for Green Bay.
No doubt, man. That's the game I got circled on my calendar, man. Appreciate y'all, man, for calling in. That's Coach Marv, man. Great coach. Great conversation, good football talk right there. Cowboy Nation, I went beyond my time, but the 88, the numbers, man, it's a lot of pressure. But pressure is a privilege, I can only imagine if, we talk about expectations a lot, but even Dak, yes, you get a lot of blame and everything for you being such and such, but I can only imagine if Dak wore 8, right? Or if they gave Dak Prescott a number 12, that, or even if they gave Dak 9, you know what I'm saying? But of course they couldn't give him 9 because Tony was here. But y'all get what I'm saying with expectations. People are gonna look at it and be like, hey, what's going on here? What's going on there? So when you put a number on a player's back and they're gonna be looking at these things and saying, hey man, we gonna want. And I don't think there will be ever a Cowboy player to wear 12, right? Or another quarterback to wear 8. But y'all get what I'm saying. They might throw those other numbers around, but y'all know how these expectations goes. And that's a big expectation. I believe that the Cowboys have high expectations even for Damone Clark. They gave that man 33. Don't y'all know who wore 33? Ferguson is relaxing now. Ferguson, he had that 48 on his back. He was like, man, hey, man, I'm glad I got that number up off me, man. I got to create my own lane right now. Can you imagine if Ezekiel Elliott had 22? Shoot. Yeah, so before I roll, it was one other thing that I wanted to say, but it slipped my mind. But the expectation is always there. It is. Shout out to y'all, man. I'm going to try to read the super chats before I go. I appreciate those who support this channel. Paul, thank you for the $10 super chat. He says Dak is the most disrespected quarterback ever. That's from Paul. Appreciate you, Paul, for your support. King Element says whenever someone starts off as a Cowboy fan. I already know it's about to be some foolishness. Appreciate you for your support. The Yale Nation podcast, Hurts equals MVP. I can't believe I just read that. But the expectations, you see what I'm saying, is for you and your team to go get the MVP for Hurts. But then here's how you gotta combat that. The Yale Nation podcast. When or if he becomes the MVP, would you be willing to pay him what he's doing? Right? So now he's doing it for free right now. He's on his he's a second round draft pick or a third round draft pick, whatever round he came from. The expectations is from him doing it from a third round draft pick. So now when you pay him $45 to maybe $50 million, we'll revisit that, okay? But shout out to you, and y'all check out the Yale Nation podcast. Robert, your name Robert Hertz? Robert Hertz with the super chat. Can we put AB in the slot and Bland on the outside? The slot position as a defensive back is the hardest defensive back position to learn in the National Football League to play. You got two-way goals. The slot position is so hard and difficult to do that even Prime said, nah, I ain't going to do that one. You got a lot of responsibilities at that slot, and I don't want to mix it up around too much for Bland. I think Bland doing a wonderful job inside. You keep him there as long as he can on his rookie year, and then next season, if you want to move him to the outside, you do that. But I don't want to do it during the season. In my thoughts of that. You don't want two-way goals. You got too many things to figure out, and then you move him to one side, and he's still playing with the mindset of a slot corner. It can get real nasty for him. So I think that you keep him where he's at, and then if you want to bring in somebody, elevate somebody, you will have to pull the Band-Aid off. Pull the Band-Aid off and put Kelvin Joseph in that spot. You drafted him in the second round, right? Dachi, appreciate you. Mayday, Dak hater spotted. Hot your kids. Shout out to you for the super chat, man. The $2 super chat from him. Appreciate you so much for that. All right, we have Mr. DC for life. He super chatted. Kellen Moore called horrible games when they mattered. You know, that's another angle of it. That's like, I know what you're talking about, and he did that about 30 minutes ago. He super chatted this one. The expectations. Hear me out, Cowboy Nation, as we talk about these expectations. People literally had the expectations that Kellen Moore was already a ready offensive coordinator, and they put the onus on the actual players versus the play caller. Like, for example, and let me get this up out of here. Bam, bam, bam. Let me get that out of here because the phone lines are closed. For example, and I'm not picking at you, Brandon. I'm definitely not picking at you, Brandon. But shout out to you. You called in. He said that in that playoff game, the Cowboys, right? And he put the onus pretty much on the team, but primarily on Dak Prescott. One can argue this right here. That was Kellen Moore, third year ever calling plays. And he didn't understand the philosophy and the formula on how to win, because any veteran coach would look back at the drive that they scored on and said, you know what, let's continue to do this until they stop it. Show of hands for any truth right here. Here's what I got right here, Cowboy Nation. Tony Pollard only touched the ball 4 times in that game. Let me repeat. Tony Pollard only touched the ball 4 times in that game. The time that the Cowboys scored was when they offered a series with Tony Pollard. They scored. Real, true offensive coordinator, veteran offensive coordinators would have said, okay, they dropping 6, they dropping 7. We run on this. They can't stop this right here. Let's get this team back on the float. All right, I got another super chat from Charlie G. Appreciate you so much. Shoot the dice down. Whoever or what other quarterbacks can you get? At this time, Dak was the best quarterback available. Jerry paid him. Right now, Pat Mahomes is the only one. So with the super chat, I'm thinking, Charlie G, you're saying that shoot this guy down, and I'm trying to read through it. The Dallas Cowboys paid Dak Prescott at the time because he was the only quarterback that they could get. But for right now, Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in the National Football League based off of your top five. I guess that's what you're saying. Then Charlie G with another super chat. He says, Dallas is playing team and complementary football. We as fans haven't seen that in years, and he's 1,000% right with this. Jay Worthy with the super chat. If CD Gallup get injured, we will need Odell Beckham. And that is facts. That can be argued for any team in the National Football League. You don't want your starting wide receiver to go down, nor your number 2 wide receiver to go down. And I think that the whole argument about bringing in a wide receiver is because you got a guy that's coming off of an ACL injury, right? And you got a guy that's in his 3rd season that people really not sold in on yet. Now, granted, next season, you can have 3 seasons under your belt, and you could say, all right, cool, I like CeeDee Lamb. I trust CeeDee Lamb now, but he's still in that shadowy place right now, right? And we look at other teams with young wide receivers. They are adding to, not taking away. But for right now, maybe the number 1 target should be Schultz, right? He got the experience. Maybe that could be the argument to counter what I just said. Team title says with the $10 super chat, you do really think that makes the choice if Zeke starts over Pollard? What if the head coach said going forward Pollard is the starter? What would it hit? Mm-hmm. Would it happen, or would Jerry shut it down? Who decides truly? Okay, I see what you're saying now. All right. Appreciate you for the super chat. So basically you said that the coaching staff determines who starts, or is it Jerry Jones who determines who starts? Well, Jerry Jones is the general manager. The general manager oversees the coaching staff, and the general manager is supposed to make his inputs. I can tell you that, if they decide to start Tony Pollard over Ezekiel Elliott, which I don't see happening, by the way, they better be right. They better not. Zeke, I get it, but Tony, he better not miss that block, because if he missed the block and the quarterback goes down for another series or so, or be out for the season, then they would have to go back to the principal office and they probably have their walking papers. So I look at it like that part of it. Yeah, it's easier said than done, that they may look at somebody and say, yeah, I want this guy to start over this guy, but they better be right. That's all I'm saying. So with that being said, Cowboy Nation, I believe that was all of the super chats. I appreciate y'all so much. And I just think that Zeke is the more complete back than Tony Pollard. I think that Tony Pollard is more, not a scat back, don't get it twisted, but I look at Tony Pollard as the most explosive back, that if you utilize this formula of soften the defense, get things going, and then you utilize Tony Pollard with those haymakers. Somebody gave a great analogy that Zeke is the jab and Tony Pollard can be that haymaker. If anybody got into a fight or anybody fought professionally, you don't go all haymakers, right? You use that wisely. And I think, and you get tired out too quick if you just going for the haymakers, right? Not saying that you can't win that fight, but what I'm saying is that utilize Zeke to be your jab, right? Utilize Zeke to protect you, because you can play defense with your jab, and then you strike it all with Tony. I believe that's the best way. I could be 1,000,000% wrong, but hey, who am I? The Cowboys are undefeated when both of those guys get 10 touches, by the way. So maybe we have a balanced approach within the balanced approach. balance Zeke and Tony and balance this game out by running the ball, utilize the formula, and baby, we can be looking at this thing a better way. Ain't this right, Cowboy Nation? I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. The name is Law Nation. This is a marathon show. I supposed to end that show at 2 o'clock. I said we only go open the phone lines for 15 minutes, man. But I love talking to y'all, man. 21 is still the striker. Yeah, Brandon Ross, the formula. Yeah, and I promise you, there will be great tears of joy if we can lift up that Lombardi trophy from Brandon, right? Matter of fact, me and Brandon, we'd be crying together, man, lifting up that Lombardi trophy. I'll put a scratch through it and say the Landry trophy. Hello. Appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. This episode, I really thank y'all so much for being part of this one. The Cowboy Nation, we stand tall, right? We all don't look alike. We may not all talk alike. But baby, if you cut us, we bleed that silver and blue. And we're going to throw them hands too. We're going to throw them hands. But it is what it is, Cowboy Nation. I really appreciate you so much for tuning in. Verdi said, be crying with me. Yes, indeed. I know all of y'all be crying with me, man. 48 didn't score often. This is John Dill, but they didn't want to replace him. No. It's the total part. I think that Lady Jessica last night called in and she was talking about, hey, everybody part is essential, right? Your eyes, your nose, your lips, your mouth, basically your hand. And this is what this Cowboys team is. But see what the Four Ladder Network try to do, and some of the local media, and I'm going to call them out by name, they like to take away the member of your body. See, can he do it only left-handed? Can he do it with one eye? Can he do it without his ears? Right? But the Cowboys, we work together as a unity. It's like a rope that's tied into a knot. When the opposing forces pull against it, we supposed to get tighter. We supposed to get stronger. We supposed to get better in our approach, in our time. So speaking of that, how bad do you want it? I tell people all the time, if you want a thing bad enough to go out there and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all of your desires of it makes you quite mad enough that you don't get tired of it, and it makes you hold all other things tawdry and cheap, if life itself seems empty and useless without it, and all that you scheme and dream is about it, if you'll gladly go out there and sweat for it, fret for it, plan for it, and lose all terror of your mind for it, if you will simply go after the thing you want with all of your capacity, strength, and scarcity, with faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty or famish or fame or sickness of body or brain can turn you away from the things you want, if dogged and grim and besieged and beset it with the help of Almighty, you will get it. And that's including the Texans tonight. You will get it. You put your heart to it. Davis Mills, baby. Y'all better watch out. Shout out to the Texans. Manifested Texans. Y'all can do it. One love, y'all. Appreciate y'all, man. DC for life. Salute. Come on.
I've been really in the field, love the rush, I love the feel. Lately, I just wanna run it up.
Torre, appreciate you.
I make the deal, have to take it to a meal. Lately, I just wanna run it up.
Shout out to y'all. Yeah. Come on.
Kinda check us on. Lately, I just wanna run
appreciate
it
all
up.
of the super chats. Aaron, Mr. Wright, Antoine, Feed Music, Sadiqua, Maryland, Paul, King, Element. Come on. The Yale Nation Podcast. Robert, is that Hurts? Aroda, Dache, Mr. DC for Life, Charlie J, Jay Worthy and Team Titleist. Come on.
You switch sides off for the bag, and that's worth more to me.
Yup.
I mix Nike with designer, I experiment.
Experimentations for the nation, baby.
And I'm not feeling it.
Not feeling it,
Search
baby.
for the one, but baby
Put some
girl,
fire
it's
in the
not
chat,
as
baby.
real as this.
There we go.
Can't trust a soul, I keep a hammer.
Call it too legit.
I've been really in the field, love the rush, I love the feel. Lately, I just wanna
Shout
run
out
it
to
up.
Oak Cliff.
Don't need
Ready,
no deals, I make a deal, I have to take it to a meal.
Ray. Let's
Lately,
go.
I just wanna run it
Come
up.
on. Salute to the Oak Cliff Inn, too. Off of 35. Let's keep it live, baby. Mary, thank you for the cash out, Mary. Alvarez, appreciate you.
I just be off the dome.
Come on.
I never own no chrome. Too many foes and clones. I be at home alone. I be in zones alone. I be on road alone.
I'm awake. Are you? Salute. Shout out to y'all, man. Put that where y'all from. I love knowing that. Lately, if you're watching all the way to this point and you have not shared, you have not subscribed,
Shame.
no doubt, one love, DC for life, not for short. Let's get it.
Lately, I just wanna run it up. Lately, I just wanna run it up.
Warrior, that's how it sounds. Warrior. Appreciate you, Williams. Williams, appreciate you. So that name is Warrior. Appreciate y'all, man. DC for life. Let's go. Down, boy. Get that dog up out of here. Let them hit you.